All right, everybody, welcome to This Costa Rican Life. I am Justin McCarter. I am here to talk about Costa Rica, Guanacaste, Playa Potrero, the ins and outs of living in Costa Rica. I'm joined today with my good friend, Roberto Cespedes. And he is here to talk a little bit about how he came to this area, about raw milk from the local cows, about fishing, about our high highs and our low lows together in the restaurant business. Roberto Cespedes, welcome to This Costa Rican Life.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here, and I'm excited, looking forward to this talk.
Okay, me too. As you know, this is a conversation between six beers. I have chosen for us a fine local brew.
Let me guess, the good old Pilsen.
The good old Pilsens, my friend.
Nice.
All right, this is how we roll. The ice is already melted, so we're gonna have to drink these things quick.
All right.
Salud.
I'm on board. Salud.
All right. Oh, so much to talk about. This is not our first time talking on the podcast, is it?
True. This is our second. 2.0.
Roberto was my first interview on This Costa Rican Life, and that one was a little bit more homemade. You know, since then, Tommy Scully Jr. has joined the team and elevated slightly, I would say, our electronics sort of arsenal.
Right. Comparing a Concorde with like a kite, a Delta Wing,
or a paper airplane.
Yeah.
We had Patricia's makeup mirror. I pulled the mirror off, and then we taped two microphones to it, and then that was a conversation between six beers, but each of us had six beers.
Right.
And then we went scrounging around in the refrigerator for a couple more.
Right.
It was a very long interview.
It was.
All right, so we're just going to get down to it. We're not going to have so much superfluous stuff. Tell me in 28 words or less where you're from and how you came to Guanacaste.
Well, I'm Costa Rican. I'm from San Jose. I grew up in the city. Then I moved to Guanacaste for a job offer. There was not many jobs offers in San Jose back in the day, and I needed to evolve and get a job. And I found this opportunity to come to Guanacaste, and I just fell in love with the area.
How old were you at that time?
20
okay.
years. Yeah.
So you grew up. You went to school in San Jose. Where I think you were over the 28 words. Let's move on to the next thing.
Right.
So no, you came to Guanacaste. You came to Brasilito, I think.
Yes,
and,
I had a casino job. I was a car dealer in the casino, and
not a dancer. We've already established that.
Yes. And then that's how I just get to know the area. I actually was my first time coming to Guanacaste, and I loved it, and I stayed. Here I am, 23 years later.
23 years later, now you're married. You're living in Tamarindo.
Yes. Tamarindo,
which I would consider. You know, as a resident of Surfside and Playa Potrero, Tamarindo is the big city.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yes.
It's a thriving metropolitan area.
Yes.
Yeah. Traffic.
It is fun. The traffic is not fun, and that's it's been getting worse and worse over the years. It's getting overpopulated, and
relatively speaking.
Yes, well, for the area that Tamarindo is itself,
and for the infrastructure that we have.
Yes, only one way out, in and out, asphalt, and then one back road that is usually in bad shape. So that's what I meant by that. But
hey, let's try to keep it positive. This is a good time podcast.
Right.
Okay.
The positive things of it is that you have so many. You have 150 different restaurants, different food, all kinds of tastes out there. You have a beautiful beach with gentle waves, especially good for beginner surfers.
Great little longboard wave.
Yes, and also you have the monkeys. You have the beautiful scenarios. They're very close up hills, like viewer spots, and it's beautiful. I mean, I like it. You also have a lot of different ethnicities there, people from all over the world, and so that's a good thing.
I think that's a beautiful thing about Costa Rica in general. We have this lovely Costa Rican population, which is really welcoming to, they're not super I would say Costa Ricans aren't in general like really homophobic or really, we have dark-skinned people in the Caribbean, and we have the Cheles in the mountains, and there's a big mix already here, and so they're really, really welcoming of the tourist dollar, and also just of kind of different people.
Right. Yeah. No, and it's beautiful because you get to know different cultures, and you learn to accept and co-live with them. Right. So that's the beauty of it.
Sure. I think that I remember the local school is there are two local private schools, La Paz and Cria, and they did a multi-culti night. It's like when you bring where you're from, you bring the food and stuff like that. I think they had like 42 different like countries represented, out of 500 kids. So pretty interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah.
So let's go down to some more interesting topics, more local topics. You were tasked with bringing our good friend Kathy some raw milk. Tell me how that went and were you successful?
Well, it was interesting because I was asked a task that I was never considered doing myself.
You never know. New avenues, new experiences.
You have to like try to find your sources, right? And then no luck. And believe me, what I ended up doing was one of those Facebook groups, giant groups, the Tamarindo garage sale. I posted there, and that's how I got the couple leads to get the raw, non-processed organic cow milk here. Do
you know what kind of cows they are? Are they Jersey cows? Are they Brahma cows?
They are the Brahma cows here in Guanacaste. It's too dry for a Jersey, so the milk is a more greasy kind of milk.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah,
really. Doesn't that sound lovely, Tommy? I think a nice greasy cheese or greasy ice cream.
Yeah,
the kids would love that.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
I remember Riley, my son, when he first came down here, and he had his first Costa Rican hamburger, with like puro Costa Rican Brahma
beef
carne.
Yeah,
and he took one bite and pushed that plate away. It was a little gamey for him.
Right.
Yeah. And I would imagine the greasy cheese would also be in that category.
Yeah.
So but I think it's cool that you can get raw milk cheese. I know that there's a place down the road across from the market. They have the cows that are in that pasture in the corner, and they go and milk those cows all the time.
Straight from the tap.
Straight from the tap.
Right.
Yeah, I made mozzarella from that stuff one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
They also have a goat farm on the way to Avellanas.
Avellanas. And they make great goat cheese there. Yeah.
Yes. And goat milk.
Calidad.
Yes.
Feta cheese. Feta cheese is goat milk, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know. I'm getting out of my wheelhouse here. Yeah. I just wanted to tell that story.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's interesting that you I never had to like find it, and then I got this request, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who do I know? A friend of a friend?
Sure.
Maybe.
Sure. There's always somebody here. That's why you need your neighbors here in Costa Rica, right?
That's the
beauty
of it.
Find stuff out.
That's exactly the beauty of it. We scratch each other's backs and try to support the locals, and that's how we go through co-living in this community. So
definitely, I think that's one of the big pluses of life in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And one of the negatives as well. I mean, you need your neighbors. You need your neighbors, whether you love them or not. Maybe they're not completely your cup of tea, but if they get stuck in a ditch, you're going to get your car in the middle of the night, and you're going to get a shovel, and you're going to get the tow ropes, and you're going to get them out, because that's how we do it.
Yeah. I have a funny story about that.
Really?
I got a call from a friend, 2 a.m. Man, I just went into the beach with my girlfriend at 2 a.m. and I got stuck, and I saw all these calls, and I'm like, there's got to be an emergency, and I'm this guy that known for this kind of stuff. Just had to get my truck and the chain and try to get him out of the hole. Yeah, and that's it. And
I got one of those calls from Bernie.
Oh yeah,
Bernie and Isa, and they're not known for doing dumb stuff like that. But in Playa Conchal, they were coming across from Minas, the really soft stuff, and it was dark. It was dark, and they thought the road went this way and the road went that way, and they just dug it in to the sand. It was late. I think she was pregnant.
Oh,
So it was, yeah, it was all sorts
remember
of.
this story.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
That's why you need a good 4x4 here.
True. Yeah, that's a must.
Mm.
That's a must. Definitely.
I don't want to talk about cars.
Yeah. Don't get me started though. I have mine in the shop right now.
Tommy too. Tommy's had his side by side
Already.
For months.
being tuned by experts.
4 months.
Months.
Yeah.
And then they said
Sounds about
it's
right.
all perfect, everything's good, and then radio silence. So they've got his perfect car. Maybe they're renting it out. Who knows?
Right.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about some bigger issues, my friend. I know that you're not drinking, so let's get to it. But my question is, so after you worked here at the Sailing Center, I know you worked at the as a dancer there at the dealer, card dealer. I think it's important to point that out since you live in Tamarindo.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
A lot of other types
Yeah,
of dealers
yeah.
there in Tamarindo. You know, it's great to make fun of Tamarindo. I love it. You know,
Right. No,
people ask me about Tamarindo. You know, and I say, well, I don't need any hookers or blow, so I'm not really sure why I would go there.
Or whistles.
Whistles. With all the vendors on the street.
The whistles are a cover for the blow.
Oh man, those whistles vendors are coming to Potrero eventually.
Yeah.
They'll eventually get
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would pay $50 a day just to buy all the whistles in my immediate area. There's an extra fee if parents come and want to do a piñata at the sailing center. If they bust that thing open and there's whistles in there, there's $100 charge. And it's
don't get me started with those.
unbearable.
Yeah.
Where was I going? Let's talk a little bit more about what you're doing these days.
Well, I am working with a program called Costa Rica Regenerativa, and what my side of the project is building this platform to help the community leaders to access government funds and grants.
In all of Guanacaste or in our specific kind of close area here?
23 coastal communities around Potrero and Tamarindo.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. And these are small towns.
Yeah, like we're talking about 1,000 people
Right.
community, and what we're trying to put together is to guide them, put a platform that they can guide themselves and teach themselves how to put all the paperwork together to apply for these projects, picking the best project or the most priority.
Highest priority
Yes,
project, yeah.
Exactly, thank you. For their community, and then guide them through the process. We are learning in the process and having all record and all the data record, so we can put this digital platform together. We had some bumps in the road, and we have some really good accomplishments. When you deal with communities, they're all different. They all have different orientations.
These are small communities. I mean, this is 500 people that are out along dirt road.
Yes.
And maybe they have a salon comunal.
Right.
Like a little community center that they have built. Maybe they have a soccer field in the middle of the place.
Yes.
But it's a really small place, like El Llano or someplace like that.
Yeah, what I meant by that is like there are communities that are fisher oriented. There are communities that are tourism oriented. They're all working hotels and restaurants, or they're all working agriculture like Tempate, and they have their own farm. So we had to adapt based on their needs and like try to get as much information to that community that is what they need, right?
So and they know what they need, and so you're
Yes.
just trying to guide them
Yes.
to the government programs. There was an example of a program that was set up for I think it was single mothers.
INAMU is the Women Institute of Costa Rica in 2020, and this is one of the things that we along the process found out is that in 2020 they had 120 million colones on a
120 million colones. What is that in U.S.
that would be
dollars? That's
$60,000.
Yeah.
No, sorry, $240,000.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they had this budget for single mothers they will give them funds to go and study. They will pay the scholarship. They will pay them their bus ticket every day, and they will feed them.
Also provide childcare while they're going to school.
Yes, they
And
will.
putting money
They will
in-
put money so they can pay the
Right.
the childcare.
Right, and that's putting money back into their
Right.
their very insular, small community as well. So
Exactly.
what happened with that?
So what happened is that at the end of the year, this is only for Santa Cruz Canton, right? It's not
That's our little
district.
district. Yeah.
Yes. And what happened is that at the end of the 2020, 75 million, so 150 went back into the government because they didn't know that existed.
Nobody used those
Nobody
funds.
used the
Yeah.
funds, and it's not. Believe me, it's not because we don't have enough single mothers that
Right.
that
Right.
Yeah, it's because they didn't get the information, and so that's when we come in and get
Yeah.
this word out. Yeah.
Right, right. Which is what the government wants. I mean, they've set those projects up. They're just not good promoters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's sort of where you come in. Your organization, and you're working with the university and with the local NGOs.
Yes.
To connect the dots.
Yes.
We have the needs out in the countryside or along the coast, small communities, but they know that they have needs. I mean, we all have needs.
Right.
But as small communities, I work on the board here in our community, and our thing is drainage. We've got to figure out a way to get the rainwater out to the ocean without going through all the houses.
Right.
And some places need a community center, and some places need a bus stop, and some
Yes.
places need a paved road.
Uh-huh.
And so you're being a liaison, and you've set up. This is like a database.
It is a database, and the idea is also to bring to the work table of these communal leaders the guidance to pick the right projects, the ones that will have more impact on them in their community. Sometimes they pick the easiest ones because they're more likely to
Right.
get approved than the actually long-term ones that will be higher impact.
The most beneficial.
But you need more paperwork, more process, and also funds, because that's another thing. Like, in order to apply, you need a topographer, you need an architect, you need all these an inspector to all the ground studies, and
in order to apply for
let's say a communal center infrastructure. So it's a little bit intimidating for these communal leaders to go in these terms and specific.
Can they get that money up front, or to make those studies? Is that
No.
possible?
No.
So they've got to figure out a way to.
Yes.
But they can apply for a loan in order to do the project, but not. I don't know.
The majority of times what they do is they do the fiestas patronales, which is like the bull rodeos and all these once a
As a
year
fundraiser.
as a fundraiser for all these projects. So they have the money to pay their utilities, the communal center utilities, and also to pay all these professionals to apply for.
Oh yeah, that's great.
The paperwork and the.
We've
grants.
never talked about on the show the rodeos, the fiestas.
Yeah.
Can you explain what they are in broad strokes?
It is it's the community celebration. They usually pick a saint. Costa Rica is a Catholic country, and they all have their own saint, and they pick the saint day or week to do these fiestas or bull rodeos. But it's not a bull rodeo per se as people will picture.
It's definitely not bullfighting, because pretty much every single bull wins.
Yeah.
It's not like they're killing the bulls.
Right. So it's just a tradition. It's they go and then release they do riding contests, but they also just put bulls in the rodeo to get and hurt drunken guys that are in there running around.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I
It's
always cheer for the bull,
phenomenal.
though. Yeah.
We all do. And so picture this. I think if you haven't seen this before, they make a wooden corral in the middle of town,
Yes.
like on the soccer field.
Yes.
They build some risers. If you're fancy, you pay the $5 or the $8 to go
And-
sit up
and
top.
up
But
there.
that is that is a major class distinction.
Oh yeah,
like
you're in the VIP section.
You're totally VIP
Yes.
up there. Most people will will either climb the fence, which is the best way.
Yeah.
You sit on the fence and the bulls come underneath
and
your feet.
sporadically go down and put a feet down inside and then climb up.
And then climb back up. I definitely did that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story. I have a story with my wife. She's from the U.S. and like the first time I took her to a rodeo was in Santa Rosa community. Her very first time watching all these different standards and safety measurements that are in these rodeos,
Such as the Red Cross
window
hole,
yes.
the window.
Yeah. So she was like blown away with all, like, oh, but really, we just like are here and the bullies are in the other side of these wood logs and stuff. This bull, the very first bull, went in the rodeo and he was so hyper and jumping all over the place. He jumped over the fence and landed in a lady and a child and like start running around the outside of the rodeo.
Outside of the rodeo.
Yeah, I had to push her into the fence, like up. She was freaking out, right? Like her very first.
Yeah, understandably
like,
so.
Yeah, and then we saw the bull coming around the rodeo, and I had to also behind her. Like
So everybody escaped into the ring.
Yes, they start going into the ring, and
Tell me the mother and the child were okay.
they're okay. They were taken obviously to a Red Cross because there's some scratches and stuff. But honestly, the bull hurt other people outside, like not just them, but he started like running around. So that was her very first time.
That's fun. She must love going to those things.
Right.
now.
Imagine like her first timer and like experience that.
That's unusual,
Yeah.
but it's not
It is
unheard of.
It is unusual. It's not unheard of, definitely. But
People
yeah,
definitely get hurt at the rodeos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's also
they die though.
people die
Yes.
at the rodeos, and it's also considered family entertainment.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
if
you definitely want to bring your kids, and you're going to buy them one of those little LED things that spins around and around.
if there's no blood and somebody like very hurt, they were boring rodeo
Right. Right.
festivities.
And for the kids, tiny kids, everybody goes, young and old. They all go to these things, and you see some horrendous injuries.
Yeah. They
Not every time.
they're getting better at letting drunken people in because in the old days, I'm saying 15, 20 years ago, anybody can go.
Come on, they don't. You just crawl under the fence and you go in.
But if they see you like kind of stumbling around, like they will like take you out now. Like it,
So-
but still, right?
So,
like,
so the ring is fairly small. Have you been to one of these, Tommy?
No, and I'm still kind of confused as to the difference between a real like American rodeo and what you're talking about.
Okay, well, 100% different. I mean, like it is bull riding. So it's the young guys from the farms
Yes.
that work with the bulls
Yes.
that get in there, and they've got the big hats, and they get all the cute girls. And unless they have permanent spinal injuries, in which case they don't anymore, it's really, really, really dangerous. And they let these bulls in. They maybe have 12 bulls in a night. They let them in. And the main difference, I would say, between an American rodeo and a Costa Rican rodeo is in American or Canadian rodeos, they have professional rodeo clowns to distract the bulls. And here, while they do have some guys also from the finca to try to distract those bulls, any drunken idiot
can be inside.
Can and does go inside the ring
To help out?
I wouldn't call it helping. I wouldn't call it
Just to
helping.
chase them?
No, just to chase the bull and kind of like,
And if
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And if you want to, there's some fantastic. You just Google the Brazalito rodeo.
Yeah.
You will. The local luminary Jeff Good, who is not a small guy, probably, 280.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, Jeff. He has a classic gringo mistake, which is in the ring in flip-flops with his beer. Bull comes at him, turns to run, and then runs in a straight line.
Yeah.
Instant death. Bull just ran over the top of him, trampled all over him, and then ran on. Yeah. And we say that it's difficult living in Costa Rica. Tommy's been kicked in the nuts a bunch of times lately. Just life in Costa Rica, it's not easy. But some people put themselves out there intentionally, and like we do the small rodeos here. Maybe there's 20 guys out there, but in the big rodeos in Santa Cruz, there's like 150 people out in a small ring. It's inevitable that they're going to get run down. Yeah. But you also see incredible feats and incredible heroics. Yeah. Right? Like I saw like a 15-year-old kid, a huge bull, pawing at the ground and looking mean, hurtled over the top of them. Yeah. Over the top of a giant, 1,000-pound bull. Yeah. Wow. Huge bull. Yeah. You're it's like being a gladiator. You're forever immortalized.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the adrenaline rush that they're seeking, right? They're that's the fun.
And they have good food. They have weird food.
The typical food, like they have the chicharrones, they have the
churros.
The churros, I cannot miss the churros.
But what else do they always have?
Cantonese rice. and
chop suey.
Chop suey and Cantonese rice.
Chop suey and Cantonese rice.
When you finish that plate, there will be a layer of grease in the bottom.
There's a quarter of a cup of grease afterwards.
It's like raw cow's milk.
Delicious.
Like raw cow milk. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, that's actually what they stir in there. Yeah. They're fun though. We've missed them because of COVID, and they shut them all down.
The sad part is that these communities, because of COVID, that was the only way to bring fast and money to the
way to circle back to the real topics, Roberto. Nicely done.
That's the
professional.
That's the issue. The issue that they have now is that
that's a major moneymaker for them. Yeah.
So that's where we're trying to put stuff together. We have. Regenerative tourism program for one of the communities where we're gonna put some attractions real horseback riding into the woods and like real Costa Rican Guanacaste food. Like the ladies that do these in the community they do these foods are able to sell it to the tours that we're gonna offer. Like it's just trying to. And how can I say this? Trying to get this beauty of these communities out into the world so people understand and people get to see and know what they're doing, how they live, and appreciate it. Because what they know and what they do in these beautiful, beautiful communities, we don't know, and we drive by making a lot of dust, and I just like kind of seeing the trees but we don't know the cultural gems that they have. Their food, their natural corn that they grow, like the chickens that run in their patios, and then they do the chicken soup at Saturday night where they sit and gather around and like have these delicious.
Well, absolutely, the culture and the community of Costa Rica is absolutely like, I don't think people understand that that's why they're here. But that's why they're here in the first place. Yeah. That's why it's a welcoming place to come. That's why people like to live here, is because of
simplicity
of the beautiful kind of Costa Rican culture. And I think it's easy to downplay that, and because it's really low key, it's easy to just it's. Everybody has their preconceived notions of what it's supposed to be like. Hey, careful with that microphone. It's expensive.
Sorry.
Okay. But absolutely, that's a wonderful idea. I had one more thing that I wanted, because I think it's important to talk about the real topics, but I really want to talk about the tope, or the ride from Tempate to Potrero.
Oh my God!
Have you ever done that?
I never did it.
I want to do it so bad.
They're now doing also ATVs and motorcycles and horse, right?
No, along in that same ride?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't want that.
They're doing that now. So, it is like basically everybody getting on a horse or an ATV.
You can rent a horse in Tempate on this on the full moon in March.
Yes.
And for maybe $40, and you ride from Tempate up in the hills. Come over and down the trails. Maybe you go through. I don't think you go on the street, do you?
No.
It's through the farms and stuff.
Their roads.
And there's some people I think that are great on horseback, and they're from the farms and they've grown up on horses.
Yeah.
And then there are people that aren't, and the people that maybe rent those horses. And
Funny though, seeing these people renting those horses once a year, but wearing their boots and hats like if they were
that's how I'm gonna roll. You better believe it.
Like, oh,
I got my
man.
hat and my plaid shirt. My plaid shirt. But what they do, everybody's drinking heavily.
Oh yeah,
a lot of guaro, and then there's guys with M80s that they'll throw behind your horse to have it explode and have your horse run off in terror through the night. This is a nighttime ride.
Yeah.
So that's all going on.
Yeah.
So we got to do that too. You can't wait for that to come.
That sounds like fun.
But I do not want to go with the ATVs. Come on.
This is recently because there's way more people that wanted to go now, and there's no many horses, so they just go along with the ATVs. They do still separate it from the horses. The horses go in front and they come in the back. But that, I get your point.
But even if you don't ride, even if you don't do the ride, that is one of those days that you want to be over in Potrero.
Yeah.
Because all the horses come into the town and they have a big dance, and that's a blast. That's a great community sort of event.
That's another nice cultural celebration that they have, and that's what I mean, right? Like these kind of celebrations, these kind of cultural traditions is what you should embrace. And
maybe without the M80s. Okay, I don't think those are necessary.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. That's like also like
bad for the horses.
Animal
obviously,
abuse.
absolutely. I totally agree.
I'm not, and also
it's
I don't
just
like
scary and funny.
Yeah,
too.
and I don't like to see a very skinny horse participating.
No.
Like that's. And last couple years, we had a representative of the Animal Abuse Association in before they start this. We call it cabalgata. And if they see like a skinny horse, they will like no, and then we'll actually go to the bottom to see who owns it and who owns the horse.
Well, I love that about Costa Rica too. They really care about their animals. But I also resent you taking my funny story and making it tragic and kind of
I'm sorry,
making me to be a bad guy. So thanks for that, Roberto. We're done here.
I just want to make sure that we
totally agree. I think that was
like,
always super scary. I think just a ride in the moonlight is an awesome idea. And 3 years ago we had 2 full moons in
1 month.
That's
right. That's right. Yeah.
And I would like to do that event. What else are your favorite sort of Tico events around the, or favorite sort of meals and stuff that you do every year with your family or something like that?
We have many different traditions based on wherever you are. Like in San Jose, like some of the bigger communities, they have their own, like once again, their saint celebration, and they have different kind of foods because they're higher up. So like there's like coffee communities, there's corn communities, so they do their own and it's fun because throughout the year, if you want to go and like visit these communities, you have different stuff, right? Different foods and traditions. There's also this kind of, I forget the name, about Tico. It's like when
you're not a bad Tico. You're a great Tico.
The horses races.
Oh, the
like,
cinta.
The carreras de cintas. Gracias. See?
Thank
you. Nice. That's good.
Yeah, I've done that. The cinta's amazing.
Yeah. So it's like basically a horse race, and they have a line with little rings, and then you have to have like a
really small.
Yeah. So you run with a stick,
with like a chopstick,
and then you
full gallop, and you've got to try to nail one of those rings.
Those are really fun.
Super.
I also like the barrel races in the rodeos, but we actually is more oriented to female riders.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Oh my God, you have to see these. Have you seen it? Like
they're starting to incorporate that in some of the fiestas.
Yes,
and it's awesome.
Beautiful. See these girls like going so like
super fast super agile.
Yeah.
Costa Rica's a horsey place. This is a place a lot of people make their living still on horseback. And
It's so much fun until you're sitting at the beach at Tamarindo, and then the horse back riding tours come in front of you, and they start pooping right in front of you, and then you're like, I know.
It's biodegradable, Roberto.
It is, but you know how you have these little baggies in the back of the horses that we try to like implement, and it's a little bit of a hit and miss because people say like, no, this is all organic, and there's people that said no because also it's public area.
Yeah, if
like,
you have 100 horses, I mean, it's gonna be a big mess.
Right.
They should have a little sweeper, a little job for somebody
in a
else.
tourist area.
I would think.
So that's why.
So I think that Tamarindo could possibly come along and use some of their money, their community money, to hire a poop cleaner.
Yeah, that would be good for like to create natural fertilizing and other stuff. Like we can use that poop for other stuff, right? Like so.
Great, yeah. Recycle and reuse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This poor dog. You can't see him on the camera. I love this dog. I really wanted to rescue him, but he belongs to I think a family down the street. And awesome. Let's give a quick plug to Barbara and Barbara's animal rescue. So I named that dog Taco.
Taco.
But the Norwegian spelling Takko with the umlaut.
Oh,
Taco.
Okay. Sophisticated.
Yeah.
Nice.
But then he didn't want to stay. I brought him to work and he didn't want to stay here. So he's got other homes. He lives on the beach. He's a good dog. But remember we used to do that event for Barbara.
The dog bingo.
Dog bingo. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, Barbara's Animal Rescue is a not-for-profit business here in the Flamingo area, and they raise money for spay and neuter clinics, and she's got 50 dogs and 50 cats that she's taking care of every day. So if anybody's ever looking for a place to donate and do a little good, that would be a good place.
Yeah.
That would be a good place. Yeah. Also, Sepia would be a good place. Sepia is a organization that you work with over in
Guanacaste. We have 112 kids right now that are going to school there. These kids are in like high risk in society and poverty, and so they receive food. They get fed, and they also get lessons. That like a school from the government. That's nice.
Yeah,
good old Pilsen. Refreshing.
Good old Pilsen.
He's getting hotter.
Yeah, you better drink it quick. So the ice has melted.
Oh,
okay. So they're just sitting in some sort of cool water now.
Right. So Sepia is a non-profit. We have this school in place, and we try to do our best. We have psychologists, we have social workers, and that's we do our part with the community.
And they're a group that you work closely with in your role as a community leader working with the university.
Yes, I'm part of the board members of.
Oh, you're on the board for
yes,
Sepia?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
But that's how I started working with this program that I'm working on the University, Costa Rica Regenerativa, with delivering the food packages throughout the first year of COVID.
Right.
To the people at crisis.
And that went on for a long time during COVID. This is such a tourist area. Everybody was out of work. You and some other people. I was involved a little bit. It's just slightly. I'm not that important, but I was a founder.
Yeah, exactly.
I wrote an email. But that group during COVID, raising money to send to the different NGOs and deliver food, morphed into what you and CEO Guille, who we interviewed just last week.
Yes.
That became a thing where hundreds of families, I don't know how many hundreds of families, received weekly groceries.
We had 600 families
and
that got benefit.
All of that
9,000 packages.
All that it took to get those packages out, arranging big groups of people that would stay distant from each other and that were willing to donate their time and their gasoline. I couldn't do it that often because my car gets like 9 miles to the gallon, and I was going to the farthest areas.
Yeah. And let me correct that data there. Not 600, 6,000 families.
6,000 families.
9,000 packages.
That's awesome.
Incredible. Yeah, it was a big production. And that morphed. People were getting those packages, and at one point it sort of the program had to shift focus, and I think there was a pivotal moment.
Yeah, well, when you get comfortable, like that at the end of the month a food package will arrive into your door.
Right.
You're like, okay, well, they tell us to stay in the house.
If
and
it included beer, I would not leave.
Right. It didn't, but just to make sure. No, like this paternalist tendency of like, oh yeah, I just sit on my couch, and especially people that own their own house and they don't have to pay rent.
Yeah. It's like Shaun of the Dead, right? I'm just going to go to the Winchester, have a pint, and wait for this to all blow over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yes, at the beginning, there was this uncertainty and this like collective terror of like what's going to happen,
Sure.
what is this thing, like it's a worldwide pandemic, and it builds up in you this,
The stresses
stress
and anxiety. And let me point out that also when you were delivering those packages, you also had a very thoughtful list of questions for the people that were getting the packages.
Yes.
Is because you wanted to help with spousal abuse and with
Yes.
Mental health issues, and it was
We had a 12 people call center doing these calls before we deliver the package every week, and in these questions we had to be very delicate on these questions.
Sure.
Right? It's a matter of privacy and respect their dignity, and
sure, and also logistics. If there is spousal abuse, you can't ask
cannot
them in
just
front of the spouse.
So we had these questions to try to solve, and other than the questions, we also at the end we said like, hey, we do have psychological help if you require. This is the number whenever you
And
want.
I think it was fairly large number of people said, yeah, I'm kind of having a hard time, and it was.
That's when I messed up my data, and it was 600 people seek out for psychological help. I said 600 before, but that's where.
That's the people that were needing
were able to help.
mental
Yes.
health support.
Exactly.
And I think people downplayed
the
that aspect.
epiphany that we had in
and
this transition.
for why the food process program didn't work perfectly.
It wasn't like why, but it was a big hint for us that we gotta change or start transitioning to a different guideline of this project, and is when we go to a house of grandma and grandpa, and the grandson was living with them, and we see him like sitting playing video games in the house, and we ask him like, hey, like what's up with you, a 25-year-old dude living with the grandpas, and what are you what do you do for life? And he's like, oh yeah, these times are so rough, and like,
having a tough time.
they tell us they tell us to stay home, and like we're just waiting for like to everything to come back to come back so I can get a job, and now I'm living out of my grandpa's pension, right? And and we were like, oh really? So and what did you do for a living? And then he's like, oh well, I'm a DJ, and there's no parties here, and like I'm a DJ, and I'm just waiting for all the parties to come back so I can have a job. And
right. That was like
that's
22 months ago at this point.
That was like a little slap in the face, because you're living off
grandparents must have been so proud.
Yeah. So that hit us right there, and then we start thinking like.
So that DJ kind of sucked the life out of the grocery program, and then but it was. Honestly, it needed to happen.
Yes,
people needed that help in the beginning.
That was a wake-up call for us too.
Everybody, including that DJ, needed another direction. And so, what came after the food program?
Well, the community gardens and home gardens, and that's what the Costa Rica Regenerativa. I wasn't part of that program just yet because I kept delivering packages, but CEO was the one that actually took over that project. And we were offering community gardens, like a co-op garden where community one person that had like land half acre will lend the land in order for 25 families to participate, and Costa Rica Regenerativa will bring all the equipment, the technicians, and teach them how to grow and produce their own produce. So
And those were sort of traditionally like the people that had a big area of land, had a big finca,
Yeah.
and would allow not donate that land, but allow
Lend
the
that,
community
yeah.
to use it for the communal
Yes.
benefit. And
Yes.
also not only like that, but also people that, if I understand it right, maybe had, a half a hectare or something like
Yeah.
that, and that's what they
Yes.
have been living on for 40 years,
Yeah.
and they have enough space to do a lot of things, but they don't have the knowledge on how to be a micro farmer, and they don't have the resources.
Yes.
And you guys rolled in and said, I'm here with
Yeah.
the university. I'm here with the
Yeah.
experts
Yes.
in
It was
farming.
beautiful.
I'm
It
here.
was
We're going to
beautiful.
create these beautiful beds for you. There was that great story that you told me a while back about a place with really humble means, a dirt floor house, which is not uncommon here. People live lovely, beautiful lives
Yes.
in really humble houses like that. But you went into the house, and in the back of the house was where they had set up these raised beds. And after, I don't know, 6 months or it was a year,
Yeah.
this woman who had probably not gone beyond grade school had absolutely absorbed every bit of information
Yeah.
from the university people. And she was saying, I'm testing my soil.
Yes.
On this bed, the pH seems to be
Yes.
down. I'm not sure why.
Yes.
And it was an absolute cornucopia
Yeah.
of
It give you
colors. And
goosebumps.
right.
It give you
That
goosebumps.
made me so
Yeah.
excited, and it makes me overjoyed with the work you're doing and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, man. I
Thank
really,
you.
really am.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love you.
I feel honored that
I don't say I love you to every guest. Roberto's an old friend. I really love him.
Cheers, I love you too, brother. Cheers. I am absolutely honored to be part of this group and beautiful people. I have learned a lot. This is out of my comfort zone, not near of what I used to do, and I feel that I learn every day, like 1,000% of what I used to learn when I was in my comfort zone. So it's making me a better person, and it changed my life.
Yeah.
And as you said before, I was in the restaurant business, and now my quality of life improved because I have weekends off, and quotation marks on off.
Sure.
But, I'm just doing things that I like, and I'm learning a lot. So that's
And you're
that's a bless.
and you're
So,
taking that sort of service industry mentality where you're helping people, but you're
Right.
taking that to the 10th level. And I know that even the local communities are super happy to sort of have some guidance.
Yeah.
Right. We went to not a contentious meeting 2 weeks ago, but it was sure interesting. The ADI meeting in Potrero.
potato. Yeah. It was a funny process, or like an interesting process, also learning process, because Potrero didn't have ADI for a few years.
ADI quickly is a lowest form of government. It's basically a business development organization, but it's when you organize an ADI, you're able to request funds from the government. You're able to get small loans
For
to
specific
do
projects.
things, and sort of ties
For
into
the
what we were
community.
talking about earlier about the money and funds that are available from the government for the communities.
Yeah.
The ADI makes it into a community.
Yeah, and what is interesting about is that you are dealing with different kind of people, like different kinds of families, and that they have also different kinds of interests.
Sure.
Right, like they have their own perspective of what is good for the community.
Right.
So you have to try to put all that together to create this democratic process of election of this local government, and that's when when things get a little spicy, right? Like you have to try to keep it.
Yeah, a little chippy.
Yeah.
There was people weren't. You were supposed to be at that meeting by 2:00, and if you weren't there at 2:00, the doors closed.
Yes.
And I'm not sure that was 100% really well communicated, but you were basically the bouncer,
The doorman
for that meeting.
God.
And you did it with a lot of compassion, and you did it not in a heavy-handed way, and that was an interesting meeting. I'm not sure how it's all going to shake out over there.
Yeah. The idea is, and once again, the idea is not to impose anything, or is to respect their dignity, their voice, their willingness. So putting all that together on a way that is democratic, that is fair for everybody, is what is challenging, but it's also so rewarding. Thank you. That it makes me happy. It makes us happy. So yeah, that was a very good accomplishment. It was months of negotiation with the entity from the government that was in charge of reinstalling this local government. So it was hard work, but so rewarding. That
you know what, I
really
think I've always thought that I absolutely have no interest in politics. I call myself a refugee from the United States. I think that it is such a god-awful mess up there, and I feel like the truth is that we have 95% of things in common. All of us, we all want our kids to do well. We all want to have a roof over our heads, and we have enough money to do it. And the politicians and the politics of the United States have conspired to pit us against each other and create a terrible situation, and misuse the money. We all want these things in common, but the people that are willing to run for office and stick it out become the pawns of the big movers and the big money around. But local politics is what we're dealing with down here, and local politics can do a lot, and it's not as affected, it's not as corrupt, and it might still be corrupt, but it's changeable, it's malleable. And that meeting over there in Potrero elected all these young people that are definitely going to want to help and change.
Yes,
and
they have the energy, they have fresh blood to see a different perspective with a more modern ideology of how to do things, and that's the bottom line, right? One thing that is crucial is that these local governments were elected. They were electing the oldest guy on the town that had always been there, that grew up there, which makes sense, right? But this oldest person might not have the skills on the internet or the
doesn't
research.
have a way to communicate.
Don't understand the terms of
But he's valuable. He's
super
definitely valuable.
Absolutely. But he can assume another role of, inputting his opinion.
It's not the organizer. It's not the team builder.
Yes. So that was the human part that
it was cool.
Yes, and it was amazing to learn.
It was great to watch you as the bouncer, and you're like, the door's closed, my friend. Yes, this is for a reason.
Yeah.
Some people got in, some people had a good enough excuse. But
that guy that started yelling at me, I thought that he was going to kick the door. So I kind of I put the chain around it. And I'm like very discreetly. And I'm like, this is going to be fun. We were, we had the assistance of the police force that were over there.
Right. But that was very low key.
And I was, it was out there.
And it was, and the woman that was running the event for the Santa Cruz municipality said, hey, if things get out of hand, I'm just walking away, and you guys can wait 2 years. Mm-hmm. And it went well.
Yeah, it went well. I was very happy with the results. We got it done, and
although interestingly, and only interesting, when I say it's interesting, it's only interesting to you and me. Sorry, anybody, all the 12 people that are watching this later on, but that's a town where they got that meeting set up with 100 signatures. 52 people had one last name, and 51 people had
related.
another last name. And 5 of the 10 people that were elected to the board have the same last name.
Yeah.
But they're the youngest, most progressive parts of those old families that have been there forever.
Yeah. The law says immediate relatives.
Relatives.
And you know how like they can have the same name or last name, sorry, and not be immediate related. So that's the case in this case. It's a very small town, and you know, it's the second cousin, the second uncle, the second. But that's also interesting, right? Like it's just you deal with all these facts, and you live and you learn. Like that's how it goes here. So
like I said, I never thought I was interested in politics, but this is really you and your organization and the university and SEPIA have done so much to help the people that are trying to make their communities better, and I think that's amazing. And it's these little small baby steps that are going to do it. And we're starting with a beautiful playing field, and awesome that you can help them.
We try to go into these communities and try to have a wider perspective of their needs, and that's how we try to aim it. Listen to them first and see what they see of their communities, and not just like going in there and say like we think that this is what you need. No,
right.
We listen to them. We try to see their perspective, that they're what is this community oriented, and
and then you tell them what they need.
No, they pick what they want to do.
Hey, let's talk about the well, it's more of a turismo question. It's something I know it's very close to your heart. When we had Cio on, we were talking. I think I had a fantastic idea. Tell me if you're on board. I think we need to have a handline fishing tournament.
I love that idea.
We'll go over a week.
You know how I feel about fishing.
So
this is
ladies and gentlemen of like the studio audience, let me tell you, you have only seen like the regular Roberto. Tommy, you met Roberto, and you think like, he seems like a nice guy. He seems like a calm person. Soon as you put a fishing rod into his hand, he like does a Mr. Hyde quick transition. I remember we went out with the girls. We went out kayaking with the girls. We're gonna do a little afternoon with the girls
Tanning
out on
like,
beautiful day, not too windy. Today hasn't turned out as windy as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be victory at sea and all hell breaking loose, but it's not. But our day was lovely, and we decided to take a couple fishing rods with us. And Patricia and I are paddling along. We're just dragging a line in case something wants to get it. And Roberto and Chelsea are like zigzagging across the bay dramatically, and I don't think Chelsea was having a good time.
She wasn't.
No, because she wasn't with her husband anymore.
No.
She was with the fisherman.
Yeah. It was. She said that I use her as a motor. So while she paddled, I was fishing, and then she's like, "No, this is not fun. You're not paddling.
Right.
You're just holding
keep
the rod."
going.
Yeah,
we have to maintain trolling speed.
So, fishing is something that I grew up with. My dad loves fishing, and that's it got in my soul. And I enjoy it. Like I respect the ocean. I love the ocean.
A surfer, you're a sailor,
yes.
You're a waterman, all around.
I respect the ocean, and but I also like fresh fish, and I will fish. So that's a thing. I remember one day we went out fishing on a boat. I think it was Regulo's boat over here, one of the locals fishermen, and We were like fishing out, and we were not having good luck, and we already had like 4 or 5 years each, and we were like having fun, because that's part of fishing too, right? Have
Sure,
fun with your friends. Camaraderie. But then I got these giant needlefish.
Oh yeah,
Beautiful aguja, pez aguja. Beautiful, delicious needlefish.
Not everybody thinks they're delicious.
Oh, well.
Not a bunch of the fishermen, like guys around here, think they're too bony.
It's true. It's not too bony if you know how to.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Everybody, they're too bony. Don't even go after them.
Exactly. And I got that one. And then I just lost my mind and started like dancing in the boat and jumping all over, not knowing that you were filming. And like,
oh my gosh, you caught a log.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing was that big around.
Yeah.
It has teeth that are that big.
We all ate from it.
It has blue bones.
Yeah.
The blue bones.
Once you cook it,
incredible.
turns blue.
It looks like it's a prehistoric animal.
Mm-hmm.
And super delicious.
We had a few good stories about fishing, and that's how he cataloged.
Yeah.
As a crazy fisherman, but I just
it was mostly from that kayaking trip. Yeah, yeah. Your parents have a place down south in
Boca Barranca,
which is a
Central Pacific
great surfing spot.
Yeah.
But I think it's your back kitchen.
Yeah, we live right by the river and right in front of the beach, and we were so blessed and lucky. They got that place many years ago when didn't value a lot, and now it's a lot. It's a really good spot. So we fish off the patio my whole life.
So from the back patio, that's where all the nutrients are coming out of the estuary, and you had a day where you had 15 snook. They're snooks, right?
Snooks and jackerels, and there is another kind of fish that is very popular there. I don't know the name in English, and we call it pez sierra, like the saw, like a sawfish.
Not a sierra mackerel? Macarella?
No, it's a flatter fish, and I've been trying to get the name in English, but I don't think that you have it up in the U.S. and it's a flatter fish.
Well, then let's not find the U.S. term. Let's just use the
Sierra fish, and it's Sierra because their fin and the little wing that they have on top looks like a saw. It's like a shapy saw.
Shapy saw. Okay.
Saw shapy fin.
Saw shapy.
Yeah.
Okay, we're into our third beer, ladies and gentlemen. My English and Roberto's English and my Spanish. Well, I'm not even going to do it. So I love speaking Spanish. We've got some friends in town right now, and it's all Spanish all the time.
Oh yeah.
In the house, which is my wife is Nicaraguan, and her English is so much better than mine. Even though I studied English at university, I still have. You know the story about Patricia, where she used an English word I didn't know after we had gone out for about six months, and
I kind of remember
humbling. Yes, it was a humbling experience. It was pejorative, was the word. Tell me, do you know what pejorative is? Please say
I know that it is a word, but I don't know what it means.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt. She said, "Honey, please don't use that word as a pejorative," and I said, I won't.
Pejorative, Google, Siri, what's pejorative?
Yes. It's using a normal word as a negative, So, I've never used that word as pejorative again.
Yeah.
And but Spanish is important.
It is.
I love when people that are visitors here in Costa Rica speak Spanish, try to speak Spanish, engage in Spanish conversations. I think it's so important, and I don't think enough people do it.
And that's one of the things that is frustrating to my wife, because she really wants to learn faster. That she wants to commit to it, and it's all about practice, right? And she's now very good at Spanish, especially Two Beers Chelsea.
Oh yeah, Two Beers Chelsea is
fluent,
fantastic
but
and funny.
and funny, but she does pretty good now. Like, and I admire her for that because she commits, right? Like, she wants to go out. She's so proud when she goes to the grocery store and like everything happened in Spanish, and she's able to like actually go through the whole 100% experience without stumbling, and she comes home and she's like, "Oh, you have no idea. Everything was
nailed
fine."
the supermarket tonight.
Yes. And I love that. Like, I think we all, like, people that come to Costa Rica, they should try, at least try. Like,
They should try. I agree.
I'm not saying that like we all have different like skills, right? And there's
Right.
people that are great in math, and there's people that are great with words, and there's people with languages, and like, but at least you should try, right?
All
and,
of
like,
the basic, all of
Yes.
the basic niceties, all of the basic, communications. Hello, good morning.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
All of that.
Yes.
Even if you're a tourist,
Yeah.
you should. You know what? You book those tickets 3 months in advance.
Yeah.
You
You
should know how to say,
Where are the bathrooms?
where's the bathroom? I would like 2 beers.
I'm
Good
thirsty.
morning, good afternoon,
Water.
good evening.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
maybe the thing.
And please.
The thing, and please. The thing about Spanish that I have learned is that to really speak Spanish, you need to be able to say all of those words at least 3 different ways.
Yeah.
And
Ooh,
if you want 3 different ways, you should start with please, and you should start with thank you. And find 3 different ways to say those. And then I'm a big believer in the dichos, in the sayings.
The sayings.
I love the sayings. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. My grandpa was still one of the big dichos, man.
I think you need to make a list.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. Like, we should like keep that going, because they just need to say one thing that is not related where you're talking, but you get what they're saying, and then you get a lesson out of it. Right.
My grandpa was like that too. He always had a funny little, he maybe wasn't following the whole conversation at the end, but he always had a funny little saying that it didn't matter, and it made it lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sayings and dad jokes.
Sayings and dad jokes. Yeah.
Right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
You how do I say it? You are one of the major culprits in our social group for dropping the worst dad jokes of all time.
The worst.
Yeah. It's brutal sometimes.
Oh my God.
But also fun. And if you can't drop a good, clean joke, what's the point of living?
Right.
Yeah.
I got that from my grandpa, though. I cannot help it. Sorry.
Good. You come to it naturally. Yeah.
So.
I wish we could just end the interview there, Roberto. It's such a lovely feeling and everything.
So amazing.
But we can't, because I still have half a beer. How about you?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah. So we got to think of something else to talk about. I got nothing. How about you?
I do. We were going to talk a little bit about a co-op.
Okay, nice.
Co-op project that we're trying to put together, and this is something that I feel very proud of. And still in baby steps, and we're crawling still. Is to put a co-op little residency area for 10 houses and a communal
Let's
area.
call them studios or apartments or
for single mothers.
It's an area where single mothers can have a roof over their heads.
Yes, with their
can
kids.
have support from this immediate community. Can have community cooking areas. I think that's a really interesting aspect of this project, is a community cooking area.
Yeah.
Isn't that part of it?
It is. So the idea is to bring these, first these 10 studio or houses, more like houses, close to room each, and have in the middle of this communal area where they have a nice kitchen, and they also have like a very nice room that they can get trainings and a classroom, and /office, with internet and equipment, so they can access to information, they can learn stuff, but they can also have like a playground and a space where each other can take turns to take care of their kids, so they can go.
Or if they have a grandma in the area, and that's
exactly. And we're trying to put this project together, and to we're studying the how feasible this project is, and how we'll maintain and bring regenerative thoughts in this
it's a
garden.
great idea.
And so that's my latest
Your
project that I'm working on.
And so what do you need for that to succeed? You need somebody. You need somebody to donate some time as an architect. And
yes,
maybe as an engineer, you do.
Yes,
oh, good.
I got the architects that are working on the renders and on the. Did I say that right? Renders.
I think so. Everybody gets it. I'm
okay.
3 beers in. I can't remember what they're called either.
And
the renders. It's fine.
And I have a few people that are putting their effort in order to make the work plan and to present it. We do need people that want to get involved and donate, and also human help, like ours.
Not animal help?
Not animal help.
3 beers in.
No.
2.5 beers.
No,
looking for human help.
Human,
not
like,
alien help.
I mean, labor, right? Like,
I know
that's what I meant.
I know what you mean. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's 2 beers in.
So we're very, very excited about it. As I said, we're in the putting everything together to present it to future donors or the government.
Yeah.
And
we have a lot of projects that you're involved in. There are a lot of people that live in Costa Rica. I think that there are a lot. From my side, I'm a pure gringo guy who moved down here because I love it here and I feel more comfortable here. And but I think that there are a lot of people, unlike me, that have a bunch of resources that they could donate if they knew the right place to do it.
Right.
I honestly think that there are people get this feeling when they move to Costa Rica that if they just knew which way they could put their considerable energies.
Right.
Maybe they've been professional people in the past. They've been business owners. They've made a little money, and if they can put that energy or that money into a direction to help their new place that they also love, what would it be?
Well, I invite these people to come and approach to us, and so we can show them what are we doing and what do we need, and where that support will go and how. I think it's very important because with this project of the food packages, I got to see how many people are willing to help from our community that never had the chance, and this is very important. They never had the chance to actually come and say, like, okay, well, I want to help, but for them to help is driving out of the street and see somebody in the street and try to give money. But when you see what other non-profit associations are doing and the programs that they have, you will have a better perspective of where your help is going to go. And so I invite these people to come and get close to us and say, like,
specifically
show me.
Where?
Specifically, the project that I'm working on, it's called the Community Enrichment Tool. Sepia is another.
They can reach you through Sepia.
Yes.
Sepia is the WACAS nonprofit.
Yes. So
HUACAS.
WACAS, and Sepia, CEPIA.
And if they want to help you and I personally, they can always buy PILSENs and come down and talk to us here at the Sailing Center.
Exactly.
Anytime. We are here. We are willing to talk.
Yeah. It's been such a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
I feel so honored to be part of this podcast and to be here.
You were the first interview, and that one is probably lost to the sands of time. It was all over the place. It was a 3-hour interview, but this one is more than makes up for it. And
Awesome.
I just want to thank Tommy Scully Jr. For setting it all up and for being
this is beautiful.
the man behind the machine. And thanks, Roberto Cespedes, for joining us today on this Costa Rican
Absolutely.
Life.
Thank you for having me.
Great to
brother.
have you.
Yeah, man.
We'll see you next time.
See you
We'll
next
do it
time.
again.
All right.